Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to the PenPal Schools / Google Hangout on teaching 21st century skills with technology. Just some logistics first to get us started. This will be a 30-minute webinar. We're going to try to keep it really short, but full of insights and actionable takeaways. So if you have any questions at any time, just let us know. There's a couple ways you can do that. I know many of you out there are on Twitter, so you can connect with us and each other there. To ask a question, just tweet at PenPal Schools and mention the hashtag PenPalChat. That's PenPalChat. If you're joining us via our Google Hangout page or you're on Google+, here's a tip. You can just click the Q&A button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And finally, if you're joining us on the PenPal Schools website, you won't see that Q&A button. So go ahead and tweet at us with questions. We'll get as many of those in as possible in our Q&A session in the last 5 minutes. And we have a bonus for those of you that RSVP to this webinar ahead of time. We'll be sending you everything, including the deck, our show notes, and an awesome certificate of completion you can show off and prove your Rockstar Educator status. We'll send that within 48 hours. So that's all for logistics. Here's our quick agenda. We'll start by chatting about what 21st century skills are. What are they? Why are they important? We'll give you a quick demo of PenPal Schools in case you're new to us or you haven't used this in a while. And like I said, there'll be time for questions right at the end there. But first, who are you listening to? Let's introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Crystal Drummond. I'm the head of marketing at PenPal Schools. So in that position, I get to develop awesome professional development opportunities like this one and hang out with educators like yourselves, but I know that many of you out there are teachers and educators, so you don't want to listen to me the whole time. So I want to introduce you to my awesome co-hosts. We have Mark Danforth. Hey, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Welcome.
So Mark is our head of curriculum here at PenPal Schools. He's an e-learning expert, and he's taught across the K-12 age range for many years in the Bay Area, where he also earned his Master's of Education at the University of San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
We're really excited to have with us another awesome co-host, Ashley Schleck. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Thanks for joining us. We're so happy to have you. So Ashley is also an educator at Monte Vista Christian School. That's in Watsonville, California. So a lot of California repping on the webinar today. And Mark and I are joining you from beautiful, warm Austin, Texas. So let's get back to our deck. That's us. Remember, if you have questions, tweet at PenPal Schools, hashtag PenPalChat. Mark, who you just met, will be monitoring all of that there. So what we really want to do in the next about 25 minutes or so is provide you with tips on resources and tech tools that teach 21st century skills. We want to give you ideas for how to meet your individual students' needs and some inspiration for how to set learning objectives. But before we do that, let's talk about, what are 21st century skills? Why are they important? And for that, I think Mark is going to actually walk us through a day in the life of the 21st century, right, Mark?
That's right, Crystal. I want to think about 21st century skills as helping prepare students for real success in their education, but as well as in their jobs in the 21st century. So let's take a look at the day in the life in the 21st century. Well, unfortunately, we're having some... here we go. So here we are in the 21st century, taking a spaceship to work. We are dropping our students off to school in their personalized flying pods. It's awfully challenging for our high school students specifically to skip school when their schools are suspended miles above the earth on space platforms. But as you guys can tell, we are joking a little bit. The Jetsons, for all the Hanna-Barbera fans out there, let's hopefully see some comments in our comment section, was a cartoon that was set in the 21st century. And while they predicted some things correct, like some applications of robots, the telecommunications that are bringing us the webinar today, as well as the automated toothbrush, there were a lot of things that they didn't get exactly right. So teaching 21st century skills is a challenge, in that it's really tough to predict what the future will look like. So we're wanting to teach students the skills that will help them succeed in the 21st century, regardless of what kind of jobs and occupations they're going to hold.
Thanks, Mark. Loved the Jetsons. That was fun. I think that my pod is not as fancy as the ones we just saw. So as Mark said, none of us can predict the future. We don't know exactly what the future will look like for our students, whether that be their careers or education, what industries will exist. But what we can know when we talk about 21st century skills is we can reflect on the kinds of things that we all use day to day and think about likely what will the skills be that students will use regardless of what kind of industries they go into or what sort of opportunities they have in the future. So that could be things like sort of all the C's, creativity, collaboration, compassion, communication. Here at PenPal Schools, we think that technology can help teach 21st century skills in 3 different ways. We think about tech literacy, content knowledge, and digital citizenship. This is a way that we organize all the different individual skills that we can think about and into 3 different buckets. And organizing them into those 3 different buckets can actually help set learning objectives. So for example, one of the ones I get most excited about is digital citizenship. How can we help students curate an online reputation while interacting respectfully with peers in a digital space? As someone who works on platforms like blogs and Facebook every day, I get my news from Twitter, I follow friends on Instagram, I'm constantly wondering about how I can contribute in a genuine way while also protecting my own time and privacy. And those are concerns that our students face as well. And with all the trends and all the technology, the way that technology is evolving, most likely they'll continue to face, maybe even to a greater degree. So if I were to decide to focus on digital literacy, I might look for projects and resources that allow students to learn and practice communication and compassion while also teaching them about online privacy. That's just one example, and we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the theory because, of course, this is all easier said than done. You all are very busy with a lot of demands on your schedule, so how can we really take these skills and teach them and demonstrate them in the classroom? And for that, I want to turn it over to my awesome co-hosts for some examples. So, Mark, do you want to start off?
Sure. I want to start by applauding something that Crystal just mentioned in her example, and that's that 21st century skills, they don't exist in isolation. When you're teaching tech literacy or when you're teaching digital citizenship skills, you're oftentimes doing them at the same time or in harmony with one another. So most of my classroom experience was at the elementary school level, and I also want to stress that 21st century skills can't be taught too young. The kindergarteners, when we were focusing on our learning objectives of identifying the sounds and the letters that corresponded with those sounds, we were able to start with a real classroom learning goal, a content-driven learning goal, and we were able to use technology to support students learning that goal. We use platforms like Typing Club, which teach students basic keyboarding skills while also helping them master the letter and the sound correspondence. We used a multitude of applications designed for both Apple and Android that had students actually drawing letters using the touchscreen devices that they had while also listening to the sounds that those letters made. So these skills by no means exist in isolation, and it's really helpful to start with a solid learning objective and identify the sub-objectives that oftentimes pertain to 21st century skills that can be used to teach that. So another example comes from when I was teaching 3rd grade. Now, 3rd grade is an excellent year. The kids are super curious and absolutely love learning, and reading is an incredibly important part of 3rd grade. So we had a variety of reading intervention groups to help students really come out of 3rd grade with robust reading skills. We identified different literacy objectives that were consistent with the curricula and the state standards that were in the state of California at the time, and we figured out how we can help students meet these objectives using technology. For example, we used BrainPop, which is an excellent learning tool to let students go through a self-guided trajectory where they were learning skills, but they were learning literacy skills, but also learning tech literacy skills. They were responsible for finding their own content, and they learned how subtitles work in relationship to videos. They were learning how to search for skills that they were interested in investing in themselves. My last example comes from when I was teaching upper elementary school language arts. I was working with a cohort of students who had exceptional learning needs, and we were helping them also demonstrate their comprehension of texts that were at their grade level. It was a really exciting project in that students began, this specific cohort of students began having a tough time engaging in both small and large group work. So what we did is we thought, well, how can we teach 21st century skills to support students' ability to share their comprehension of texts in the physical space? So we used a really awesome tool that I encourage you all to check out called Padlet. Padlet is a digital corkboard in which students are able to contribute with text, with audio, with video, as well as they can record themselves making testimonies of their thoughts. So students were literally able to contribute their thinking in this virtual space, learn and interact with their peers, and then when we had conversations in the physical space, their classmates knew exactly where they were coming from, what topics these students were interested in sharing. So students were able to focus on a real-life content objective while practicing a number of 21st century skills such as digital citizenship as well as digital literacy.
Thanks, Mark. That was awesome to learn about all the different ways that we can use technology as an individual learning tool. I think I'll turn it over to Ashley now, because Ashley, I know that from our conversations, your class does a lot of really cool project-based learning. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, and I'll just briefly tell you about integrating technology in the classroom, which I think is such an important thing now that we're in the 21st century. Teaching digital natives can be a little bit challenging because they get easily bored. They spend a lot of time on their devices at home, and I've decided that because they're so technologically savvy at home, that should be part of the classroom as well. So in my classroom, everything is research-based, inquiry-based, project-based. Currently, my students are doing a Gilded Age project, and they are reaching out to local social enterprises, requesting interviews, and then they're going to be writing a newspaper editorial. Now, the great thing about that is with technology, they're learning how to communicate, which is one of the C's in the 21st century learning skills. So communicating with outside audience or an authentic audience. One of my goals as an educator is to get my students out of the four walls of the classroom utilizing technology, and that's what's happening with this project. Students were instructed to research a social enterprise of their choice and request an interview. So the first step was to do that through email and then to set up a Skype session. Both have been great communication tools for my students to learn, something that they can take on to high school, college, and then to the work world. Also, using Twitter in the classroom has been great. My students are currently reaching out to different companies through Twitter. They also have team Twitters where they're trying to get followers, so if any of you guys are interested, that would be great. You can look at their blogs, which are on the PenPal Schools blog. And also just making global connections, teaching them how to do that, and how to do that in a responsible way has been wonderful in my classroom. Students also blog all about their learning every day, from their essays they're writing to things that they're learning in workshops. So blogging has been a great tool. Again, something they can take with them out into the real world. Skype as well. We do Skype in the classroom calls and trying to connect our students with different experts around the world. So just integrating technology, teaching them how to use it in a responsible way, teaching them how to communicate, critically think, also to show compassion through technological communication and relationships.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. I know that, as Ashley mentioned, we do have a blog post up on penpalschools.com. If you check out our blog, there's a link there to Ashley's class's blog and their Twitter account. And speaking of penpalschools.com, many of you, this may be the first time you're hearing about us, and Ashley is one of our global ambassadors. So what do we do at PenPal Schools? We're an education technology company that connects students from around the world to learn together. And why can that help your students? We help your students discover other cultures and discuss global issues, while also getting to practice critical thinking, reading and writing, some really important core competencies. So it's similar to a traditional PenPal exchange, but with technology. So we can help you as teachers get your students connected with PenPals, and then together the PenPals go through online courses. I know Ashley's students have used the World News course, so they can learn about global issues while getting to know their PenPals. And we'll just give you a quick overview, but first I want to let you know that because so many of you are educators, all of our courses are standards aligned. Mark, who you've met as an educator himself, has helped us ensure that each and every class, you're seeing a sample of some of our PenPal Schools courses on your screen, and those are more topic areas. But each of these courses and topic areas within them are aligned to both Common Core and state standards. And we'd love for you to get started on PenPal Schools tonight if you haven't tried it before. There's really just 4 easy steps. I won't go through all of them in detail, but I'll be able to tell you where some extra resources are if you need some help. But it's really easy. So you just go to penpalschools.com and teachers click the Teachers Get Started Here button. Once you click on that, you'll want to create your online classroom. Again, it's super quick. You give your classroom a name, tell us where you are so we can help match you with the appropriate pen pals. Each student in the class will be matched with an individual pen pal, and right now we won't be able to tell you where in the world the pen pal is from, but it's really exciting because students in your class could get pen pals from different countries, and then that will really enrich, their experience and hopefully classroom discussions. An important thing I want to mention is that you do need to put in a start date for your class. That will be, the next Monday or any Monday in the future, and that helps us get you matched in time. And then third, you choose a course. Like we said before, we have a bunch of different courses, so you can actually preview any of the courses at this screen here in the process if you're not sure which one you'd like. You can also select the difficulty level for your students, beginning, intermediate, or advanced, again, so we can connect them with the pen pals that will be best for their learning experience. And that's it. You're then ready to invite your students. We'll give you this class code, and you can instruct your students to sign up again at penpalschools.com. They click the Student Start Here button, and then a little bonus tip for you all on the webinar. We do have our free PenPal Schools mobile apps for Android and Apple devices. One thing I want to mention, because it's always really exciting to tell teachers about, is our awesome teacher dashboard. We're improving this all the time and adding a bunch of really cool features. So once you create your classroom, invite your students, you log back in to your teacher account at penpalschools.com, you'll be brought to your teacher dashboard, and from there you can monitor each and every student's progress through their course, see their pen pal match, and you can also invite your students straight from there with a little invite students button. So that's a quick screenshot of that. And our goal is to make learning together fast, fun, and then all of the courses we offer are free. So it just takes a little bit of time to get set up, a few minutes, and it's free. We know that students will learn best when they're having fun. Pen pal exchanges really get students excited to learn, and it provides them with opportunities that it's hard to find elsewhere to share what they know. And again, all of the courses are aligned to academic standards. A note on safety, we know that's really important. We take student safety really seriously. I won't go through all the different safety measures we have, but more information is available on our website. One of the key things that we always want to let teachers know is that, like I said with the teacher dashboard, you have control. You can review all the pen pal exchanges. You can address any inappropriate behavior. You can check in. You can add to the conversation. You can monitor progress. So we really work really closely with you all as educators to make sure this is a fun and safe learning experience for students. And I wanted to share some quick teacher tips. We have some up on the screen here, things we've heard from teachers in the past about how they use PenPal Schools. But since we have educators with us today, I thought that I'd throw it out there. And Ashley, maybe we'll start with you. Any tips from your experience with PenPal Schools, ideas for those of us watching tonight?
Sounds good. So I think my best bit of advice is PenPal School day was always Mondays, so I came into the classroom Monday morning and knew exactly what I was doing, and my students knew what we were doing as well. So I participated in the World News course, and also it's called Decision 2016 this year, which I recommend you all take part in. And my students just loved it. A part of my curriculum is teaching current events. We did that weekly, and that was just what we did through all social studies courses in our school. So what I did is I took the current events, I integrated them with the World News course, and it worked perfectly. And also it was an opportunity for my students to write in an academic way to their peers. Of course, they were very excited to first start with the social stuff and get to know their pen pal and their area as well. They were really excited about learning about different, geographical areas. So that was fun. But I think the most exciting part was seeing my students' writing improve because, like I said, they're writing for a different audience other than myself. They're much more motivated to write in a more academic way. And I also set very clear boundaries with my students before we started our PenPal News Exchange, and I definitely recommend you doing that as well because you want their writing to be the best that it possibly can. In order to do that, you need to be very clear with your expectations beforehand. So my students had to write a paragraph response for each question that was posed. It was a great opportunity for me to also see them critically think through their writing. I definitely recommend you guys doing the Election Decision 2016. It's a good opportunity for you to learn what your students think politically and also what their parents think politically, which is very interesting to me.
Thanks so much, Ashley. It's so those are awesome tips, and that we agree that Decision 2016 course, some of the best conversations we have seen from PenPals have come from that course. It's pretty exciting. So
I would like to just celebrate real quickly a couple of the points that Ashley mentioned in that, when we design PenPal Schools courses, we're really trying to bundle these 21st century skills from, starting with a learning objective, whether you're talking about American civics and taking our Decision 2016 course, or talking about equality internationally and taking our Walking to Freedom course. We start with content and we make very high quality content-driven courses. We help students practice those digital citizenship skills by writing to an authentic audience. But also tech literacy is at the heart of what we do as well. Our engineers work around the clock, and they're very dedicated people to ensure that what students see and what they do on PenPal Schools represents best practices that they're going to see when they navigate websites across the internet. So we're really thinking hard about how to prepare students to have real success using technology as an asset in the 21st century.
Thank you, Mark. And another thing that we think about a lot and are working really hard on is not only making the PenPal experience the best it can be for your students, but you as educators and teachers as well. So just a quick note, there's a lot more resources where this particular webinar came from. Of course, we'll have the recording for you to use and share and reference in the future, give to your colleagues, spread the word. But we also have a lot of other teacher resources. So go to the link up here on the screen. There you'll find our newest teacher resource kit. It's got a great teacher quick start guide, as well as awesome cool printables like student quick start guide where you can write down your class code. If you're using PenPal Schools in a computer lab setting, you can print that out and students can go through the steps to get started. Makes it really easy. And we're always here to help you and answer your questions. We love teachers. Our favorite hashtag to use on Twitter is #WeHeartTeachers. So we're here for you. Please contact us, email us, support@penpalschools.com, tweet us tonight or anytime, and of course find us on Facebook too. I personally will answer your Facebook messages, and Mark and I will answer your emails and your tweets. Speaking of which, we know we've gotten some questions tonight on the webinar, so I think our first one we got in advance, it's one we get pretty often, is where can teachers learn more about what EdTech resources are available and effective? Mark, can you talk about that one?
Love to. Thanks, Crystal. So, as a teacher, there are so many different things to do, and the last thing you want to do is really spend hours every week tracking down effective resources. So oftentimes when we speak with aspiring teachers or teachers who are just getting started using technology in the classroom, they say, there are so many awesome tools that we hear about, but where are you guys hearing about them? Where are you discovering these tools? So here on the slides right now, you can see a couple of our favorite resources that we'd like to highlight. ISTE is the International Society for Technology and Education. They're a wonderful resource for learning tools for representing and coming from countries around the world. Common Sense Media is an excellent resource that allows you to search their inventory for technology resources based on skill, content area, as well as age appropriateness. EdCamp is a really great and free professional development opportunity that is growing to expand to cities. So they're a really awesome thing to check out and see if they're in your community. But possibly my most favorite of all of these resources is Twitter. Not only is it a great resource to share your own thoughts about education and get validation for the awesome work that we as teachers do day to day in the classroom, but You can participate in ed chats and learn from a really strong community of passionate educators. You can tweet at experts and thought leaders in the field. You can tweet at companies. We just were tweeting with Kahoot earlier today, who are an excellent online learning tool. And folks are generally very responsive to answer your questions and support you. So there's a lot of really great help and assistance out there for teachers who are excited and ready to start teaching 21st century skills.
Thanks, Mark. Speaking of our favorite Twitter, I want to remind everybody to go ahead and submit your questions. We just have a few minutes left, but please tweet at PenPal Schools and use the hashtag PenPalChat like you see up here on the slide. Mark, do we have any questions?
We do. Thanks, Krista. We have a couple questions, and I want to direct them towards our rockstar teacher participant here, Ashley. So, with all these resources available and all of these great websites and places to find these resources, how can you, as a teacher, make sure that you're using technology responsibly while also teaching to the national or state or federal standards that we as teachers are often held accountable to?
Right. So I think just making sure that your students are using reliable sources, that's key in my classroom, and I teach that from day one. Mark mentioned Common Sense Media, and they have great curriculum for how to teach students digital literacy, digital citizenship. So I think that's definitely important. And utilizing things like PenPal Schools is perfect for integrating the Common Core standards. I think especially the writing components to both language arts and social studies. It's been great for me, just a wonderful resource.
Thanks. And Crystal, I think we have time for one more question I just see that came in here. It's about the dreaded classroom management. I know I was teaching classrooms as large as 30 to 35 high school students. The largest elementary classroom we were teaching was about 28 to 30 kids. So with all these kids, Ashley, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your own classroom and how you make sure that kids are remaining on task while using these devices that allow them to really explore the world from their desks.
Right. That's a question that comes up frequently with integrating tech into the classroom. Now, the key is if you keep your kids engaged and interested, they're going to do what they're supposed to be doing. If it's boring and it's not meaningful to them, they may get sidetracked and use it for personal use or just be off track. Now, the thing to remember is that students actually need to learn how to self-motivate or monitor their usage. So at our school, we do give our students a lot of freedom to and trust that they're actually on task. And I think that's the key to it. We all need to learn how to self-monitor, self-manage our technology use. But again, the key is to keep them engaged. Make sure that your projects are interesting to them and that you have buy-in. So again, student voice and choice is the key to keeping your students on track.
I want to give you some agreement snaps over here, Ashley, and I just want to reiterate that, oftentimes when students are using platforms that are engaging and on technology like PenPal Schools, they really don't realize that they are learning. They're just having fun. And so it's important to also show them that they are learning and that this is what learning looks like and this is how exciting learning can be, because then that really instills a lifelong love of learning in these young scholars.
Definitely.
Thanks so much, Mark. And I'm trying to keep myself on task over here with technology, and I want to keep talking about these awesome questions we're getting from those of us joining us live on the webinar tonight. We do have other questions that it looks like we won't have time to get to live, but we will definitely answer them on our PenPal Schools blog. Check out penpalschools.com and scroll down to the bottom, click on the link to our blog. And we'll also tweet out a link to that where we'll answer any additional questions we didn't have time to get to on the webinar tonight. So, on behalf of everybody here at PenPal Schools, I want to thank so enthusiastically Ashley for joining us. Thank you, Ashley. You've been awesome. It's been so much fun planning this with you, and just really got us fired up and inspired. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for participating, and we hope to hear from you online.
Bye. Good night, everyone.